or I'd like to have a New York Times bestseller. But I'm talking about really, really big goals, like a clean, comfortable, safe living environment. That's one of mine. And certain income goal and a healthy, productive relationship. That's another one. So I just went for the really, really big ones rather than thinking about little specific ones, which are more of to-do list.
So you have your major 10 big goals, and then every time you put something on your to-do list, you look at it, you look at your goals and you say, will this to-do help me get closer to my goals, or will it push me further away? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically, because I think you have to have a filter to know. There's so many opportunities, especially as you get more and more successful. And for a long time, I was completely immersed in the music industry, so I have a lot of musicians that have and still contact me. And, you just have a lot of opportunities. And as an entrepreneur, like I mentioned just a minute ago, you think, wow, I could really do something with this artist, or I could really do something with this song, or we could take this all the way to number one. But you just have to balance that out with what you really, really want, and then get into the very specifics of how you're going to get there.
And you're talking a lot about having ideas, like having different business ideas and kind of going astray, which we're going to talk about with shiny object syndrome probably in another episode. But there are lots of things you can say no to that you should be saying no to here. I think there are distractions like Facebook and Twitter and TV and all kinds of things, distractions social media wise. I think there are distractions social wise, your friends and family distracting you. I think there are a lot of things that you do have to run through that major goal list and say, okay, is this going to help me reach my life goals? And I think
it's clarity though, because I think sometimes the friendships and certainly relationships like the one you and I have, that's one of those things that's on that list, and that's one of those things that takes time. So if you want to have friendship, well, schedule that into your list. Say, hey, I'm going to go call my buddy and we're going to go play golf, or we're going to go grab some pizza, we're going to go watch the game, or whatever it is that you do with your friends. But don't let it be, let me take it back for just a little bit. I think that you and I both write a lot, and I'm in the studio a lot. You broadcast and record as well. So when I'm in the studio or when I'm writing, like, phone is off, distractions are off, the clock is ticking, and I can't just be taking calls, or people can't be dropping by if they knew where to find me. And I think a lot of people, they run their lives like that, especially if you're entrepreneurs. You're setting your own schedule, and maybe you're working from home, so it seems like it's kind of laid back. You don't have to dress up. You work in your bathrobe like I do. And when you got a nice day and your friend calls you and said, hey, let's go to the park. It's great to want to continue to have a good relationship with somebody like that. But I think you have to schedule it, and it gets into, I think this is kind of a big pot. We're stirring a lot of things in it. We're talking about shiny objects. We're talking about the to-do list, and we're talking about scheduling. But just as far as the to-do list, I think just sometimes focusing on the list. The way I get mine done, Laurel, as you know, is I work with something called the Pomodoro method, which I take a timer and I run that timer for 25 minutes, and I don't do anything except for the list for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break doing whatever I want to do. After that 5 minutes is up, go back to the 25-minute timer, do nothing except for the list.
I think that's a great way to look at it, because I have a different way of doing things. I just sit down for chunks at a time and do things. But I think it comes back to everything that you've just mentioned here that we've been talking about stirring in our big pot. It's kind of coming down to priorities. And that's what you were talking about, it seems like, with your big goal list of your top 10 goals, is what is a priority for you? And spend your time working on those priorities. And if something is a priority, whether it's friends, family, exercise, business, haro, whatever that is, that's what you should be saying yes to. And the other stuff you should be saying no to, because time management, it's not just, okay, how many things can I write on my list or put in my things app and check off? That's ridiculous. It's about figuring out what's going to help you reach your goal and making certain things a priority as you go along.
Sometimes I find kind of like my way of dealing with a lot of emails, like I was mentioning, just select all, delete. Sometimes I find having something on a list and just sitting on it for a while, it's a priority maybe today, but it either works itself out or it's not as important. I don't know if you've ever done this, Laurel, with an Amazon wish list, but I do this all the time. I'll see something, I'll say, hey, man, I'd really like that, but, I'm not really ready to pull the trigger. So I'll put it on my wish list, and I'll go back, and I'll find something from 6 months ago or 3 months ago or a year or more ago. And you think, man, I can't believe I was going to spend, $100 on that or $500 on that or whatever it was. I got no need for that now. I can't imagine having that now. And sometimes I think that to-do lists can be that way. So that's one of the reasons that I have it set up to where if I think of something, I put it on the to-do list and I put it off until tomorrow. Just one day.
Well, and just so you don't get distracted. And my parents did that to me when I was little. I really, really wanted a Light Bright. Do you remember the Light Bright?
I had one.
Okay, see, you had one. I didn't have one. And I saw the commercial, and I just really, really wanted one.
They make them seem a lot more fun than they are, I'll tell you that.
I would agree with you on that. And so I told my mom, I really wanted this Light Bright, and she just kind of let me sit on it for a little bit. And she knew it would go away. She knew it wasn't top priority, that it wasn't a toy I was going to play with or get much brain power out of or anything like that. So she just kind of waited me out on that one. And that's what it sounds like you have to do sometimes on your to-do list, is sometimes an idea or something you want to accomplish sounds really good and like it's really top priority, and you put it on that master list, and then it ends up just not being top priority. I never got the Light Bright.
Do you think a kid today even knows what a Light Bright is?
Probably not.
I mean, not unless it comes to like Google Glass or something.
Yeah, it just wasn't one of those toys that seemed like it was going to have a longevity.
What the hell? No, man. Light Bright was around for 50 years or something.
Was it? I am mistaken then.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't have any.
It's funny to think about what. That's a side note, but it just goes to show. I mean, plenty of people have been just fine without Light Bright, and I think that all the things that are coming toward you, plenty of people are doing without them.
It's true. Yeah, I still kind of wanted that Light Bright, but I think in the scheme of things, you have to figure out what's important. Sometimes your mother knows better than you what's important. My mom definitely did.
And I think it's a perfect example that life goes on. Not only have people dealt without Light Brights, assuming they still exist anymore, but people have been just fine without them when they do exist. Same thing for your to-do list. Things just work themselves out magically a lot of times.
I agree.
Laurel, this has been fun.
Yeah, this is a good show.
When we come back, the next episode, we're going to dive into shiny object syndrome. It's the number one killer of entrepreneurs.
It is. It's gotten me in its hooks many a time.
We'll talk about that. If you're listening, you've got a question, Laurel is available on Twitter at
Laurel Staples, like the office supply.
And I am at David Hooper, like David Hooper, on Twitter, at David Hooper. So send us, either one of us, send both of us a question if you've got it, and we'll happily consider it for the Red podcast. Red.
Woohoo.
What does it stand for, Laurel?
I think it's Real Entrepreneur Development.
Real Entrepreneur Development.
There it is.
Doesn't stand for the color.
Yeah. It's not retired, extremely dangerous.
Doesn't have anything to do with clown hair.
Mm-mm.
Communism.
Nope.
Taylor Swift's record called Red.
I don't know. We could talk about that.
Red State, where we are, Nashville, Tennessee.
Yep. Roses. Nothing to do with roses.
Stoplights, none of that.
None of it.
This is about green lighting, your entrepreneurial success. Laurel, thanks for the episode, and see you next time on the Red Podcast, redpodcast.com.
See ya.